Once upon a time.
And Algernon says to Cicely, would you be in any way offended if I said that you seem to me to be in every way the visible personification of absolute perfection?
Welcome to Be.Content.
Do or do not. There is no try.
Don't be a plonker all your life, Rodney. I've done the deal now.
Welcome to the party, pal. That's what I do. I drink and I know things.
Ladies and gentlemen, my guest this week is the wonderful Gordon Cowell. Hello, Gordon.
Hello, Ashley. Hello, everybody.
Hello. So thanks very much for joining us. So this podcast is all about the content that we've absorbed throughout our lives. It's all about the content and the inspirations we've taken from every source, be it literature or music or philosophy, whatever it is, whatever you've observed, whatever content that is you've picked up along your way, content that's made you. I want to know about it. I want to pick it up. I want to play with it. I want to feel it, and then I want to put it out into the world. That's what we're all about. So
Amazing.
Thanks very much for joining us. So
Thanks for having me. I'm thrilled.
it's great. So we've picked up on. We're going to start at the beginning, and then we're going to work all the way up to nips. We're going to start at the bottom and work our way up to your nips. Is what we're going to do. That's the plan here.
That seems linear and progressive and
Thank you. Yeah. And open-minded is what we aspire to be. So just before we went on, you were talking about where you'd come from, and tell me all about that. What was that like?
Well, I was born in London, in Putney. My dad was a rowing coach, so when I was 6 months old, he got a job for UCLA in California, and so yeah, we up.
He was a rowing coach. That explains why you're 7'2".
Yeah, I'm really not.
He is. He's sitting down. For those of you watching on YouTube, he sat down. He's lying.
Yes, that was it. We moved to Hermosa Beach in California, and lived there for 3 years. I've got really vivid memories of living there. And then
songs, anything that you've picked up during time there?
My dad was massively into the Beach Boys.
Of course he was.
Of course, obviously, Surfing USA. But he was also an ex-musician, so he always listened to a lot of Fleetwood Mac.
He's English?
He is English, yeah. He was born in Kent. But
right.
Funnily enough, he grew up in California himself. He went there through his school years, went to high school there, went to university there. So I think there was always a massive pull for him to California, and I think he was itching to get back, really, which is why that job opportunity came up and he jumped on it.
What about mum? Tell me about mums.
There was quite an age difference between my parents. So mum was born in South Africa.
Okay.
She was adventurous, wanted to have fun, party girl, very glamorous, gorgeous, and fun. But very quickly found herself married with a kid, and then was thrown over to California.
So were they quite young parents then?
Well, my mum was 21 when she had me, but my dad was 29.
So a big age difference then. So what's your first piece of content that you remember absorbing?
He-Man.
He-Man. That's amazing. Because you've basically exemplified him in your adult life, so I can totally see why that makes sense. He-Man.
Hang on, the Skeletor's next door. Do you want me to bring him in? My dad brings that up. Sometimes he does an impression of me with a little boy American accent going, by the what do they say? Masters of the Universe.
Other than He-Man, then what else was there? Talk me about music, literature, TV, whatever it is.
So my dad and his siblings were all musicians, so they all played. My dad played bass guitar and harmonica. My aunt played rhythm guitar and sang. My uncle played rhythm guitar. So there was a lot of rock.
Rock, yeah.
There was mostly it was always seemed to be live acoustic-y stuff that we listened to.
Did you have sounds in the car?
Bryan Adams.
Yeah.
To mind. That probably was my mum, actually. I remember hearing Summer of '69 quite a lot. Born in the USA, and
The
I don't know
classic.
if that was for Bruce Springsteen. I don't know if that was just a link to being in the USA. Beach Boys were often played. My dad loved the Beach Boys. We heard that a lot. I've got really random snippet memories. I
Go
don't
for
have
it. Give us them all.
I don't have a lot that's sort of conjoined. Like I remember my mum was obsessed with the Carpenters.
Yeah.
But that jumped to when I was like 8, living back in the UK. But I remember she used to play the Carpenters on repeat, and I thought the songs were beautiful, so lovely and I mean, I didn't obviously appreciate some of the lyrics for what they were, but I remember thinking they were incredible. And she was so devastated when Karen Carpenter passed away. I remember
Yeah.
like thinking it was like a family member had passed away. It was really good. It hit her hard. She
My
loved
mum
it.
was the same as Princess Diana.
It's funny how the generation like latched onto certain things. I also Toto Africa.
Yeah.
My mum was obsessed with that song, and I didn't really get it at the time. Uh, it was something I discovered in my 20s, and now is literally one of my favorite songs. And I wonder if that's now because I'm rehashing a memory from all the way back then when I used to hear it.
It's interesting. It's what I've learned just on the research I've done on this particular subject of the way we absorb content is that the content itself is sort of secondary to the context with which we've absorbed the content, and that tends to evoke so much more emotion in us than the actual content itself. Like it could have been the theme from Playdays, but because you heard it in that moment or it was played to you in those times or by that person, it tends to resonate more with you. And I think that's something that I'm finding the more and more I research this topic of how people absorb the content that shapes them.
And why is that? Why has that grabbed you particularly?
Why did it grab me? I think so. I'm a bit of a philistine. Like people say, what sort of music do you like? I say, well, I don't really like any music. I don't really do music. But the second you tell me there's a story behind a piece of music, or there's some sort of narrative behind it, or if as soon as you connect it with a real emotion, like any piece of content can grab you just because it's got the context that it comes with has so much more meaning than the actual piece itself. So
Really
that's fascinating.
That's really
So,
fascinating.
Toto Africa, is that for you? So if you hear it, what sort of emotions are brought back to you?
I get waves of so much. I get waves of I instantly think of my mum.
Yeah.
In a trite way, I think that's because it makes me think of how her childhood must have been growing up in Africa, literally, just from the name. But also, I know how much joy that song brings her. I I also get brief waves of going, I didn't really appreciate the song for a long time, and then appreciating it for being incredible. And I find it, I hark back to times of being in like rock power ballad evenings where it's proper banging out, or whatever, and also being one of the vocally most difficult songs for a man to sing. That song is effing high, man.
It is high. It is high. What about literature? Have we got any literature going on at the moment? Have we got any books?
My dad was obsessed with, do you know Jabberwocky?
Yeah.
My dad was obsessed with Jabberwocky and used to recite it to us in the car.
Love it.
And make us recite it back to him line for line. And
do you remember any?
'Twas brillig, and the slithy toes did gyre and gimble in the wave, all mimsy with the borrow groves and the mom's wrath out grave. Yeah, I do. Because the words are so delicious.
Yeah, they are.
The words are delicious, and he would speak to us, and I used to think it was a foreign language, and I was sort of enraptured being a kid listening to your dad speaking this foreign language. And
of course.
And he used to say it so much that it stuck in my head, and to think, I can recite that whole thing, word for word. It's incredible.
Yeah. That's amazing. I love that you didn't even balk when I said, go on then, quote me some, and you're like, blah, 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 blah. I got it. I love that. Love that completely. What about moving into sort of adolescence? So you're now back in the UK?
Yeah.
From when?
From when I was 6, 7. life felt very regimented the minute that we got back, because I guess I was a little bit older. We settled in High Wycombe when I was 8.
The glamorous heights of High Wycombe.
The only memories I really have of being in High Wycombe are everything seemed very regimented. My dad was adamant that I was going to be this uber achieving, sporting, musical, creative, academic genius. So you know, I was endless cycle of piano lessons and swimming lessons.
What did you learn on piano at High Wycombe?
I can't remember the name. It might be Sonata in C. Da, 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 da.
So, because I'm lazy, anyone who knows that sonata, please post in the comments what the it is, because frankly, I ain't got time to be crawling through Mozart sonatas.
I'm so glad this show isn't about content as well. I mean, for God's sake.
I know, thank Christ. Da, 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 da.
I think it was Mozart.
I think it was Mozart, Haydn, Mozart, John Lennon, one of those greats. Okay, cool. So thanks for that. That's really valuable for my show all about content.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Oh, I hated being a teenager.
Did you?
I absolutely hated it. I hated everything about it.
Did you know at the time you hated it? Or did you think you loved it at the time?
No, I was miserable.
You're miserable?
I was miserable.
Grungy?
Oh, no. I was incredibly geeky. I was a little bit podgy. Also, my parents are divorced by this time.
Okay, so the divorce. So that happened between this time.
I remember not entirely understanding everything that was going on, only that my mum and dad were desperately unhappy and screaming at each other a lot.
Yeah.
My dad insisted that I was thrown into private school. So this all happened very quickly within a 2-year period of them breaking up. So again, I was instantly thrown into this. I went to boarding school for a year. And the content was huge. I mean, I had massive content. I was in the school choir, but it was a naval college. So we had...
Hang on, so you went to... Hang on. Whoa. That's too coincidental. So you went to a naval college in Caversham?
No, I went to Pangbourne College.
You went to Pangbourne College? Okay. So that's a Royal Merchant Navy school. Yeah, because I went to Bearwood.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. So you went to Pangbourne. It was a Royal Merchant Navy school. So you were in chapel. And you did chapel. I mean, that's a lot of religious content that's coming into your life there that you've sort of glossed over, but you've actually absorbed a lot of it. What was your school song?
Oh, it's funny you mentioned that. We did go to church every
You've
Sunday.
not thought about this in 25 years, have you?
God. God. We did go to church every Sunday when we lived in High Wycombe.
Right.
I forgot. I completely blanked that out. So now I'm 12, 13. I grew a deep love for big belting divas.
Of course you did. Of course you did.
I was obsessed.
And you've not looked back since.
No, I haven't. I was obsessed with Mariah Carey. I was obsessed with Celine Dion. I was obsessed with Whitney Houston.
What books did you read?
Julius Ceasar, To Kill a Mockingbird. Yeah, I'm out. I don't remember any others. I did biology and French at university.
Amazing. I didn't know that.
It was a minor. I studied biology was my major and French was my minor.
Biology and French. I mean, that's obscure, right?
Oh, yeah, totally.
So when did dancing come into your life?
Like either an Easter school or a summer school for like a week. I remember this woman doing a song from Ding Dong the Witch is Dead.
What was it your sisters were doing in the ballet? What content was it? What piece of content was it?
I just remember her doing like ballet steps at the bar. That was it. It was that simple.
Right.
I think she might have even done a jazz class one time.
Throughout your history, there's a precision there that you've admired and you've adhered to. Even He-Man, he operated in a very precise way and he got the job done no matter what. It's interesting. There's a throughput of your content absorption and the way you've approached life that I know you to have approached life.
I think it's really interesting, and I think it's really accurate. I've always, I'm very disciplined, and I do tackle everything with precision, and but I've also got, on the flip side, I'm not very good at accepting fault and weakness and error. I beat myself up a lot if I get things wrong, or if I don't get things first time. I can get quite frustrated. And also when things fall apart and become not disciplined or not structured, I can feel a bit overwhelmed. I find it, I like order and discipline and structure.
So what sort of books are you into? What sort of music are you listening to?
I mean, boarding school, I don't really remember listening to any other music than choral music.
What were you singing?
Handel's Messiah, I remember really vividly.
Messiah?
I remember like every single Christmas carol and all the top soprano lines. I was always singing those.
Descant.
Descant, thank you very much. Yes. I try and belt them out now in a falsetto. It doesn't quite work.
You and me both, babe. So what about books? We've not covered any books.
Lion the Witch and the Wardrobe.
Mm-hmm.
I love Lion the Witch and the Wardrobe. That was big for me. I think quite in my early teens, I remember reading an Agatha Christie book and thinking it was so fantastic. And by that, I mean, for a young teen, it must have been quite dated, really. But I became obsessed with Agatha Christie books, and I started collecting them when I was about 13. I used to go to all the secondhand shops and dig out Agatha Christie books, and I still have them.
Amazing.
I've got about 70 now, and they're all collected from 1993.
Wow. So what's the best Agatha Christie book you've ever read?
Oh, that's really hard. That's not fair. And then there were none.
And then there went on.
Yeah. I was in a company called Starmaker in Reading. I played bit parts in a couple of their first shows, and then I played Edmund in Lion the Witch and the Wardrobe, which made me very happy, being one of my favourite books.
Yeah.
And then what else? My friends and I formed a group, and we put on Snoopy the Musical when I was 16, and I played Charlie Brown.
Snoopy the Musical.
That meant a lot. We literally choreographed, directed it, put it on ourselves, funded it ourselves. One of our friends did the music. It was fantastic. I loved that. There was so much fun. I've got great memories of that.
Amazing.
And then Starmaker did Singing in the Rain when I was 17.
Which you loved.
And I got cast as Don Lockwood.
So you were already a very adept performer by that point.
But I'd sort of blacked it, Ashley. Like, I'd never done any dance training at all. I'll be honest, I was very, very lucky. I remember they were doing Singing in the Rain. It was coming up. It was about 6 weeks before auditions. And I grabbed my friend. I was 16. I said, I've never tap danced. Can you teach me how to tap dance? I'd never done any tap moves. I'd done no ballet.
Who was your friend that taught you how to tap dance?
Laura Heath.
Laura Heath. So she needs a definite shout out after we've put this out. Yeah.
I owe Laura Heath a lot. She probably doesn't even realise, but I knew I had rhythm, and I knew I don't know. I'd done no formal dance training, so like, bless my friend Laura teaching me tap dance. I remember her teaching me tap dancing in a hallway of her parents' house between the front door and the utility room. But yeah, so I played Don Lockwood. That was my first dancing role when I was 17.
So Don Lockwood, favorite Don Lockwood number, favorite Don Lockwood moment.
Broadway Rhythm, which is one of the most epic song and dance numbers ever, which just seems to go on and on and on and on. But it's got so many interesting different segments, and like chorus coming in, chorus going away, storytelling, solo dance, group dance, and him being the big song and dance man arriving on Broadway. It's epic. Great number.
And of course, you reprised that role recently.
What's crazy is like doing it in '97 for Starmaker. I was quite out of my depth, and I definitely was probably a little more terrified than I realised. But then EBOS did the show 2 years later, and I was cast in that show in 1999 playing Don Lockwood. And I was way too young to play the part opposite all the incredible people they had in EBOS at the time, who were a good 10 years younger than me. But bless them, they cast me and I did it then. And then to come back and do it for EBOS again, so many years later, when I was a bit more age appropriate, I can't even tell you. It was one of the most incredible experiences. I started going clubbing when I was 17, and I remember just all the hits of the 90s. Like, if you could listen to any like best of 90s album, and that was my life.
What were the ones that stuck out for you? The tracks.
I remember hearing Born Slippy a lot, which was not my favorite song, but I just remember a lot of people singing it, and a lot of Cardigans. Rhythm is a Dancer. I mean, all the classics. Actually, finally going to uni when I turned 21 was incredible for me, because I suddenly went to this place where no one gave a shit where you came from. No one gave a shit who you were, what you were. No one cared what grades you got at A level. Everyone came on this even keel of being, oh my God, we're absolutely petrified. Everyone's trying to make friends and be liked, but equally there's sort of no judgment, because everyone's just wanting to
be themselves
very quickly and be themselves. And that was amazing for me. I thought, wow, no one actually cares about anything that's gone before. We're just sharing and being open. And also I was a couple of years older than a lot of people, so I was really hungry to learn, and really I was really studious, but also had a good time. And then very shortly after discovered the Drama Society, and then ended up being cast in the Crucible. But I'd never read an Arthur Miller play. University was great for me. I had the best time.
Yeah.
I made fantastic friends who I'm still in touch with today. I had a great time on my course. I had a great time socially. I went out a lot. And a lot of the time musically, I'm thinking of a lot of R&B music. No Diggity is sticking in my head for some reason. I remember dancing a lot to Cisco Thong Song. I remember dancing a lot to Justin Timberlake, Senorita, and Like I Love You. Stuff that had a really strong beat. From graduating to where I am now, I bumbled around. I went to drama school after university, and then acted for 5 years. I loved it. I had a great few years acting, but
what did you do when you were acting?
I was in Agatha Christie's The Mousetrap.
All right.
I couldn't have been happier.
Great piece of content.
Oh my God, I couldn't have been happier to have done that. Being the massive Agatha Christie fan I was in The Woman in Black for a year.
Oh yeah.
And that was amazing as well. Love that. Amazing.
You have told me that you do have the best job in the world.
I really do. And what's amazing about casting musicals is like I had to read music.
Yeah.
I had to understand dance technique, and I had to appreciate and be able to critique acting, as well as the singing and the dancing. And everything I'd done in my entire life leading up until that point had led me to there. It's bizarre.
Yeah.
And I thought, I know what I'm talking about. I know what I'm doing. And I've got compassion for what they're going through. It's a brutal industry. And I think that's why it's made me good at my job, because I get it.
So tell me about Nips.
Well, as we all know, it's a really very surreal, bizarre time at the moment. And
it is. It really is.
Effectively, within a 24-hour period, I lost, all of our projects closed up, and I had no work. I had a bit of a meltdown and went, wow, so you bought a flat 4 months ago, and now you have income only for 4 weeks and then nothing. And what are you going to do day to day? I need a bit of structure and discipline. I also like to let loose and have fun, but also I do need to know what I'm doing. And I spent 2 days kind of freaking out. and I thought, well, wouldn't it be fun to just set myself a challenge each day, something that I can focus on, do that's either creative or stimulating mentally, physically, personally, whatever.
Yeah.
So I decided I thought, well, why don't I start a group to see if there's other people that might need to share ideas, or like, also, you know, there's a lot of people that are retired or live on their own. And so I created the Nation in Isolation Preservation and Stimulation Society, or NIPS, and decided that each day I would post a video of me saying, here's your challenge for the day, good luck, let me know how you get on, post your videos and comments and pictures, and we can talk about it. And
people have loved it. People have absolutely loved it.
It's been amazing, but literally it started as me going, oh, wouldn't it be fun? I can spend like an hour videoing something and editing it and posting it, and you know, and then I can do the task myself. But it's sort of, now it's become a full-time job. Yeah,
I think people have really taken a lot from it, in that you've been the first on the bandwagon to lift everyone's spirits, and you've brought everyone together in a way that's totally omnipresent, that everyone's invited, and you come at it with an attitude that is totally inviting. And I think that's what people are craving at the moment. An atmosphere of welcome, you know, and welcomeness, and you give that unconditionally.
Thank you, Ash. That's what I wanted, because I spent 48 hours driving myself insane, not sleeping, feeling physically sick about the situation, personally as well as globally. I had friends calling me literally in tears going, my job has stopped, I've got no work. I don't know what I'm doing. And we were all in the same boat, and I thought, I can't just spend every waking minute of the day worrying and stressing and feeling like this, because I am a worrier and I overthink everything. And I thought, if at least a portion of the day I can go, I'm being a bit silly and talking about my nips, you know, that's what I wanted to do.
You're helping people. Ultimately, you are helping people by giving them that relief.
Well, you know what? At the very least, I'm keeping myself amused.
And that is all you can do nowadays. And honestly, I've spoken to so many people that have shared my belief that you are offering something that doesn't exist, and that you are giving them a platform that they haven't had otherwise. So bless you for doing that. Thank you for doing that. And please keep doing what you're doing.
It's been fascinating. Things that you've highlighted to me that hadn't even occurred to me, like piecing together bits from my life, and I'm baffled and bemused at the same time.
We veered away from the content. What is the song that makes you happiest?
I have a slight go-to song. It's called Lola's Theme by Shapeshifters. Everything about that song makes me happy. I first heard it when I was at uni with a group of friends. It was the theme tune to a god-awful game show called Playing It Straight. I love the lyrics. I love the beat. It makes me smile. I want it played at my funeral. I love the song. It uplifts me. It's a song that just makes me happy. I beam every time I hear it.
7 generations on from you, there's going to be a generation of Cowells. What's your advice to those people?
Follow your heart and follow your instincts. Do stuff that you love. Be around people that you love. Be kind, be generous. Don't be hateful. And cut out anybody that's not good for you. Time is precious, and I think you spend your time giving love, spreading love, surrounding yourself by love.
Agreed. Totally.
How often in life do you look back and dissect formative years and content that shaped your life? You tied a thread through so many things that had never ever even occurred to me, and I'm quite fascinated by it. I love people and their characters and backgrounds, but it's funny, I've never really properly dissected mine. So there we are.
Thank you so much.
Love you loads, Ashley. Thank you so much.